Hello everybody, my name is Iceface. Today I'm going to be doing some T4 Abyss on the test server in a new Gila fit. This is a very cheap Gila fit. This Gila fit was mailed to me by Imperator Nove Terre Sampaio. I just got a random mail and it was a super cheap Gila fit. I was like, oh, what is this? And it was only 200ml Gila fit, and it was said that it's made for T4 electrical, so it's similar to what I do. The only difference is that this ship here, unlike the one I do, does not use a full low slot with damage modules. So it's similar to that anti-gank T5 Gila fit I made. It instead replaces one of the damage modules with a Flux coil. This makes it so it's a lot easier to have more powerful tank modules without having capacitor issues. And it's made obviously to run it electrical, so you can see it's not cap stable here, but it will be cap stable in the Abyss. And it also is using a large shield booster, so obviously large shield boosters are going to use a lot more capacitor than medium shield boosters that I'm used to, but on the other hand it'll boost a lot more. This Guristas one is quite cheap compared to those Python ones that I use. This costs about 20ml I think on Tranquility. Obviously here the prices are a bit skewed because this is the test server. But some improvements I would make to this fit were to be actually dual medium shield boosters, because I looked in Piffa and the EHP per second is quite low, like in terms of tank capabilities. They're not actually that good. Like, this ship doesn't use any implants, so obviously it's not going to have as good tank capabilities as someone using crystal implants, but it still is not that great. It's like 200 something EHP per second. I usually recommend 400 or more EHP per second for T4s, so this is obviously not going to have a lot of EHP, but I want to still try it, see how it goes. I made some small tweaks to the fit when I got it. It had 10 Infiltrator 2s, but I replaced 5 of those Infiltrator 2s with the Imperial Navy infiltrators, and this is so that I could have them able to, be a bit more tanky, so that, for example, when you come to the drone battlecruiser waves, then they'll have a more likelihood of surviving. The Infiltrator 2s have a lot less EHP than the Imperial Navy infiltrators. Also, he was using Mjolnir light missiles, and I replaced them for Inferno ones, and that's because the Gila has an inherent bonus to the thermal missiles, or the Inferno missiles, as well as the kinetic missiles. So I used Inferno missiles over the kinetic ones because you are up against Triglavians in the Abyss, and they have a hole for Inferno missiles. Now, I'm going to be running electrical, so it could be seen that you should use Mjolnir ones, but I get 70 extra DPS, and I think that does counteract the EM hole you get. I think that this extra 70 DPS is better than applying damage to the EM hole you find in the Abyss. I'm not exactly sure. And this ship is using an Afterburner. It's not using an MWD. I prefer to use MWDs over Afterburners because MWDs can be used to, fly to the extraction caches. The Afterburners have to then fly to the gate or the transfer conduit or origin conduit and deploy a mobile tracked unit. Some people have said that the mobile tracked unit is actually a lot faster, and actually I find that it depends. Like, it depends on the placement of the extraction cache. Sometimes the MWD can be faster, sometimes it can be slower, but in my experience I find that the MWD is always faster. But for the sake of this ship, or the ship I was sent with an Afterburner, so I'm going to use an Afterburner, and I've also added an MTU to be able to scoop up those caches. So let's get into it then. I'm obviously, as I said before, I'm on the test server, so I don't want to, lose this money if I do die to it, but I'm pretty sure I won't die to it since this guy's saying it works for him. Let's warp to the safe spot where we can launch into the Abyss. Group your drones. It's important to group your drones so it's a lot easier to manage them when you are fighting people. This is also using a rig, which is the EM shield reinforcer rig, and the EM shield reinforcer rig is good for the electricals because you obviously get a lower EM resist, so you're kind of compensating in that regard. But I prefer to use solidifiers, and solidifiers are bad because they'll make your capacitor consume be a lot worse, because it makes the shield boosters boost a lot faster, so you're getting more shield boosting, but you're also consuming more capacitor because of them running faster. The reason I prefer the solidifiers is because you get bonuses to all resistances. So the EM shield reinforcer, it will only affect Charybdis or anything that does EM damage. So all the sleepers do omni damage, so obviously affect them, but solidifiers will affect everything. For example, this EM rig I've got here, it will not do anything when I'm up against Triglavians, for example, because Triglavians do explosive and thermal damage. Let's go in here, let's see what we get as the first wave. So a bit different because I'm so used to using an MWD. So using an Afterburner, I'll see how this goes. It's a really long time since I used an Afterburner. So used to the MWD. There should be no problem whatsoever. So we got obviously the drones, and they're so easy to take out. These are the droneways you have to be careful of if you're running electricals, because in electricals you obviously have a low EM resist, and these are spark lances. Spark lances do a lot of EM damage, and that is bad for us because we've got a low EM hole in these sites, but we have obviously the rig, so it's going to help for that. So that is a case of where the EM rig we're using is useful. So we just take out all these extraction caches because I want to be able to, oh wait, we forgot to activate our shield booster. I want to be able to pull them in when I get to the gate, and we'll start taking out ships now. Okay. And actually, I probably should have started shooting them earlier, because that's one thing you have an advantage of when it comes to the drone frigates. They have such a short range, so you are able to easily take them out before they even start applying DPS to you. So that is actually maybe something I should have changed right there. I should have started attacking initially, because you can see here I'm taking quite a bit of damage right now. Let's go here, and we have got an orange cloud, but I think our capacitor is so good, so it won't make a big deal if we're going through this orange cloud over here. So let's go and attack these spark lances. You can see here our shield is taking quite a bit of dents from these spark lances. Obviously, we've still not got a really high EM resistance, even though it is being compensated by that rank. But we're killing these guys so quickly, so I think we will be fine. We can always overheat if stuff goes bad. We've got 2 resistance amplifiers to heat with. Yeah, and it seems like the tank is stabilizing very well right now. You can go to the gate. There we go. Go to the gate and deploy an MTU. Put these things as missiles. We've got the plate forge also. I maybe should have taken out the plate forger, but I wanted to just reduce the incoming DPS quickly, because of the plate forge is obviously going to do some remote reps, and we don't want that because it's going to make us destroy the other ships slower. But it's only one of them. It's not going to be that big of a deal, I think. So we get close. We're soon approaching the transfer conduit, and then we just put our mobile tractor unit down, and it'll start going. So you can see here, there's also different types of mobile tractor units, so you can obviously get the more expensive ones. There's like this pack rat and magpie ones that are a lot more expensive. They pull in a little bit faster. It's not that much faster, but it's a little bit faster. And I think they also have a better range on them or something like that. So those are also things you can use if you're using like high tier Abyss and you want to go all in, and you're using like an AB fit. But I'm using the standard mobile tractor unit. It's not that good. It's only pulling in stuff at 1 kilometer per second. The other one, I think the tier that is better than the standard mobile tractor unit is like 1.25 kilometers a second, and then the best one is 1.5 kilometers a second. But my Gila still goes faster than that with an MWD on. We call our drones. They're attacking this automatic suppressor, so we don't need to take extra drone damage here. Now this is obviously on the test server, so I don't really need to pull in the loot, but it's just to give a bit of a real life or test how it would actually be if you want to farm these sites, like if it would actually be viable to do this in a timely fashion. You can see here it's taken we've spent now quite a bit of time just chilling here near the gate, because if it was the MWD, I'd probably be almost done with grabbing all the caches, and I'll be on my way back, because I could just keep my drones on them while I fly to these different caches. You can see if I've got anything good here. 15 mils, that's pretty decent actually for T4. One thing I don't really like about mobile tractor units, or another thing I don't particularly like about them, is that there's always the risk that you lose it or you forget it here, because it's another thing you have to remember to always pick up, and something that can happen. And that's actually happened to me once when I, a long time ago, tried to use the mobile tractor unit in the Abyss that I forgot to actually. And obviously, I mean, if you pay attention to that, there'll be no issue. But when you're running lots and lots of these sites, you could eventually forget it. And also, that'll be even more punishing if you're using the expensive mobile tractor unit. We can see here, this is a normal mobile tractor unit we're using now. You got the Magpie one and Packrat one. The prices are really weird because of how this is a test server. I think this costs about 50 mil, this costs about 200 mil, so I mean that's a lot of stuff you could use for just a small mistake right there. You can see here, look, the time is really bad. 6 minutes for a drone wave. Drone waves, obviously should be the really easy ones. If we had an MWD, it would have been finished a long time ago. I almost guarantee that would have been the case. I never really have any issues with the drone waves with an MWD or in terms of time. But we still got good loot, 20 mil, so you can go here. Oh, no, oh, no. Can we scoop up? Did we scoop up? Yeah, we scooped up. Oh, you could actually scoop it up while you are in the warp animation. That was really lucky right there. So we've got some, I don't think starving ones, because we've got a really good capacitor. I'm just going to take out the Vedmak first, because the Vedmak is going to do a lot of DPS. You can go here. We've got an automatic suppressor as well, it's going to be a bit hard. Okay, we'll go for the Vedmak now, because it seems like I'm not able to do so much damage to this cache right here. And we're really slowed down really hard. You can go for this tangling afterwards so that we can stop being webbed, because we're being webbed quite hard right now. You can see our shield is going down a bit, but I don't think it should be much of an issue. We've also got a bit of spark needles, which is not good, but there's only 2 of them. 2 of them, it shouldn't be much of an issue, you know. Only 2 spark needles is hardly going to do any damage, but they do quite a bit of damage because of how they do the EM damage, as I told you guys before. You can take out these. No, I don't want to go for starvings, but since we already started up this starving, I'll just go for that. I want to go out also of this automatic suppressor range. This is really annoying because my missiles are not probably going to do much damage, or at least as much as they potentially could do, because of how this is, you know, how it's destroying my missiles, this point defense system over here. And my tank is actually not holding up that great, you can see here. Oh, let's go for the starvings, because my capacitor is also getting a bit of a hit. Oh, it doesn't. I don't think this looks actually that good. It could maybe be the end of us here, potentially. Starving. Let's go for this one. Okay, but we are killing them. It's just Damavix. Okay, I think we're gonna need to have to overheat soon. When it goes under 20%, then we're gonna have to overheat. Overheat. Keep shooting. This is a good thing about active tanks. You can obviously overheat more modules. You can overheat the boosters. You can't on a passive tank overheat the shield boosters, obviously, or the shield extenders. I mean. There we go. I think DPS is stabilizing now. Take out this last starving. Capacitor seems to be alright, so let's go for the ghosting so we kill them fast, because our missiles are obviously going to be wrecked from this. Let's see if we can land a volley on this extraction node here. Oh, the automatic suppressor keeps destroying my... Okay, now it's this. Okay, good. You see, this is so far. You have to travel... You just have to travel so damn far with the Afterburner. It takes forever. Go on, kill these spark needles over here. There we go. So, destroyed all the enemy ships, and now it's just to pull everything in, which is obviously going to take a really long time. This is something I really hate with the mobile track team. People keep telling me, Ace Face, you don't know what it's like to use an MW. It's so much faster than MWD. Well, I always get this stuff. Look here, 10 minutes, and I'm not even collected all the loot from this site over here. I would have already been out kiting them with the MWD. That's another benefit of the MWD, guys. If you use MWD, especially with Triglavians, you are able to kite the Vedmax because of your speed. The Vedmax go just a little bit less than the speed of your MWD in a Gila, because a Gila MWD goes about 1.7k depending on your skills. So your MWD will simply be able to keep out of the range of the disintegrators of the Vedmax, and because of this, you will be able to... You'll be able to make it so that their disintegrators deactivate, and this will make it so that there's spooling. You know how Triglavians, they spool out damage over time, they keep doing more damage. That will also be reduced. And that was a perfect example of that when I was using my retribution in the Abyss, because I was able to just keep a range of this or I can't remember if it was no, it was the Ishtar, I think. When I was using the Ishtar, then I was able to keep out the range of the Vedmax, and then they just suddenly stopped shooting, and that was really good, especially just because they stopped shooting, so obviously they're not applying damage, but also because when they're not shooting, they have their spooling reset. This is a really good thing about the MWD, and I can see it, you know, potentially the MTU being maybe as good as the MWD if you have a really blinged out one, but honestly, I just I always prefer MWDs. I've always stuck with MWDs. I've tried out Afterburners many times, but it's never been really particularly good. The Flux core seems to be helping me with the recharge. You know, so had so many new things over there, and it didn't seem to be much of an issue. I mean, we did get a bit of a low like to the 30% or something like that. But we have max recharge rate at 25%, so we still weren't taken below that, which is weird because if you get taken below 25% capacity, it's really hard to get it back up again. But we never went down there, so that was alright. We had the shield boost on obviously all the time. We didn't have to turn off the afterburner. Afterburners, you know, they don't use much power anyway, but like it was not that much of an issue. That's also one thing with using the MWD, is that it will seem as if you have a really bad capacity. You'll see that, oh, the gigajoules per second is not as good when you're using an MWD. But what you can do is, obviously, if you're new to it, just turn it off. You know, turn it off, like, or just like deactivate it. I mean, I don't mean like offline. You can also put it offline if it's a really emergency, but you can just turn it off, and you're obviously gonna have a lot better capacitor recharge rate then. Do you see this time here? This is not at all good, and I think we'll actually have to, in the last wave, we won't even have enough time to go for the extraction caches. I'll have to just go for the bioadaptive, because this is just not a good time at all. You see here, we're basically doing the time required to just make it. So just make it, so no time to spare. And that's obviously nothing we would want to do. We would want to be messing with, because we want to do things efficiently. We want to do things in a timely manner so we can have a good ISK per hour. But this is still, all that's being said, this is still really, like, it shows what cheap ships can give you. This is only a 200 mil ship, you know. So obviously it's not like this is supposed to be expected to outperform a 1 billion ISK Gila, you know. It's not obviously expected that. I'm just saying what kind of things it could do better at, but it's really good still for just 200 mil ISK ship. Okay, grab the MTU. There, and there we go, and go through the transfer conduit. That's good. So we only have 5 minutes left, so it's not going to be a good time. So as I said before, we're going to just directly go to the bioadaptive. More Triglavians, unfortunately, but I don't think we'll have too much issues with them. Let's go for the Vedmax first, and we can go to the starving one. Actually, starvings are pretty deadly, and we want to go out of this. We want to go out of the. Okay, just go for. We want to go out of this orange cloud and also the automatic suppressor, so we can apply full damage with our missiles. Okay, that Triglavian damage went down really fast. Okay, keep going, keep going. I'm just worried that these Vedmax are going to spool up to crazy amounts of damage very soon, very fast. But it seems like this guy is going down quickly, so I do not think we'll have too much issues. We're somewhat holding with the tank. Stuff is not too crazy, you know. Okay, he's almost down, so that'll be a big portion of the DPS off. After this harrowing is down, it should be smooth sailing, I think, because there's not only a few Damaviks, and we should be able to tank that, no problem. Okay, we are being webbed and we are being disrupted, so like basically every E-War in the entire game is on us, but it shouldn't be too much of an issue. Oh, we're tanking like a boss, that's really good. We also got the minus 50% EM resistance penalty, so that actually won't make much of a difference here, because the Triglavians obviously don't do EM damage, but we are slightly tankier and we are doing slightly less damage than we actually would. If it was minus 70% EM resistance, not minus 50%, then our drones would be obviously doing more damage because they would have a smaller EM hole. In terms of the thermal, they won't make a difference, because you can see here that if we click here, we can see that they've got quite low thermal resistances compared to like EM resistance. That's quite high. Go for the tangling. We'll have to go directly to the bioadaptive over here. Yeah, this is like, these extractions are just too far away. Won't be able to get them, but it's decent for what you can do with the 200 mil ship. Like, most people should be able to afford this at least within a reasonable amount of time, you know. I cannot see it being taken too long until a newbie will be able to fly this. Obviously, I remember the first time I started playing Eve, it took a while for me to just get 100 mil ISK, but it's still, I mean, I remember after like a couple of weeks I was sitting on 400 mil. I got that mainly from exploration stuff. You can get quite a bit from doing these data and relic sites, especially relic sites, because they do a lot more. Okay, so that's it for all the ships. There we go, boom boom boom. So we got a decent chunk of ISK there, 30 something mil, because we have to also account for the mobile tractor unit. Mobile tractor units, it says that they cost 700k, but in Tranquility I believe they cost about like 7 mil, something like that. Triglavian survey data, all this loot seems to be around the right price. It seems to be pretty accurate right here. Oh, we don't want to recall our drones yet. It's too early, man, too early. See this time here, it's not at all good time, but obviously we wasted a lot of time. Like, say if you wanted to just fire the bioadaptives, you can also do that, and we would obviously be a lot faster. You don't have to go for the extraction cache. It's just more like efficient, or you want to use as much from the filament as possible. But it seems like this 200 mil ISK Gila can definitely do the T4 electrics. I mean, if it's optimal, I mean, no, you would want to have something that could get the caches a lot better, but it can definitely get the bioadaptives at least. If you want to only go for bioadaptive, this is definitely worthwhile. See, a tank seemed to hold pretty decently as well. I mean, we only needed to do a few few overheating cycles. You could also maybe use like low grade crystals, like the very cheap crystal implants. That could also be an option if you want to have a slightly better tanking capabilities. I personally, though, I would replace this booster and this large shield booster for two C-type, Python C-type medium shield boosters. Each Python C-type medium shield booster, I think, on Tranquility costs about 50 mil. There's not a whole lot. I mean, this one costs 20 mil, so just two of those 50 mil, so 100 mil, and you'll get much better tank. Also, actually, one thing I could have done is I could have put a Tech 2 shield boost amplifiers. Tech 2 shield boost amplifiers obviously give you very good shield boosts compared to this T1 meta type, and but I can see if you do not have, because I've got pretty like high-end skills, if the T2 one uses a lot more CPU, and we've already not got so much CPU to spare, so I could fit the Tech 2, but I can see if you do not have perfect skills or near perfect skills like I do, then you'll have probably be better off just going with a Tech 1 or meta type. So that's it for this T4 electrical cheap Gila that was sent to me by Imperator Nove Terrae Sampaio. Seemed to work out alright. I mean, it didn't do that well in terms of time, especially with getting the extraction nodes, but otherwise it seemed to hold up on its own pretty alright. Thanks for watching, guys, and if you enjoyed, please leave a like and subscribe. I'll catch you guys later.